Episode 6, Cornered. Rain tapped softly against the windows. The fire had burned low. The spellbook still lay open upon the table. Crowe had fallen asleep where he sat. Then, a single, sharp call. Crowe's eyes opened. The raven stood upon the sill, feathers raised, eyes fixed toward the alley. Then, the feeling returned. Not words, not a voice. Danger, immediate. Crowe was already moving. He listened. A floorboard creaked. Outside, another. Boots. The guild had found him. He thought, not this again. Crowe gathered the spellbook, the relic, his coin pouch. Nothing else mattered. A broken plank leaned against the wall. He jammed it beneath the door handle. Not to stop them, only to steal a few seconds. Crowe opened the window. Cold rain greeted him. 3 stories, a long way down. He looked across the narrow alley, 15 paces, another rooftop, a guild enforcer, crossbow already leveled. The man smiled. Give it up, Crowe. Behind him, boom. The old door shuddered. Another blow. The hinges groaned. Crowe never looked away from the crossbowman. One word. Approach. Crowe finished the sentence only in his mind. Walk into your doom. The spell answered, different, not the familiar warmth he'd begun to recognize. This magic flowed from somewhere else, older, quieter, like drawing water from another well. The enforcer lowered his crossbow. One step, another. Then, empty air. For a heartbeat, confusion crossed his face. Then, he disappeared. A distant thud echoed through the alley below. Crowe stared. Not Thorn's magic. The planks snapped. The door burst inward. 2 guild enforcers charged into the room. Crowe raised one hand. Sleep. Invisible magic washed across the room. One man staggered. His sword slipped from his grasp. His knees buckled. Then, silence. Fast asleep before he struck the floor. The second kept coming. He was stronger, or simply luckier. He dropped to one knee, raised his crossbow, fired. Shield. A shimmering barrier erupted before Crowe. The bolt struck invisible force, splintered, falling harmlessly to the floor. The enforcer reached for another bolt. Too slow. Crowe extended his hand. A spark. Then, fire. It streaked across the room, striking the man's shoulder. Leather blackened. He cried out. The crossbow clattered onto the floor. Smoke curled from scorched cloth. The enforcer looked at Crowe, then at his sleeping companion. Fear won. He turned and fled. His footsteps vanished down the stairs. Silence returned. Only rain. Crowe looked down. The sleeping man still breathed. You can live to see another day. Crowe lowered his hand. His heart pounded. He attempted to cast Disguise Self. He reached for the pattern. Nothing. Again, nothing. The well had run dry. Crowe frowned. Disappointing. The cathedral's magic, Thorn's magic. 2 different wells. Each spell, different. Each obeyed, different rules. He looked at his hand. How many kinds of magic are there? The raven glided silently from the bookshelf, landing upon his shoulder. Another caw. This time, the feeling wasn't fear. It wasn't warning. Leave. Crowe nodded. The safe house had served its purpose. It had given him shelter, knowledge, a companion. It would give him nothing more. He secured the spellbook, gathered what little remained of his life. Crowe disappeared into the rain. Somehow, the well felt deeper. Not full, just deeper. The abandoned room stood empty. The fire slowly died. And somewhere in the darkness, the guild still hunted. A thief. They had no idea. They were creating a wizard.